Hello, welcome to the program Political Viewpoint on ASO Television. My name is Topsy Gimba, your host. Political Viewpoint comes to you 3 times in a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, where we look into national issues and discuss them holistically. The program gives me that opportunity to invite personalities to discuss with me on issues they know how to speak best. Of course, Nigeria as a country has been encountering a lot of challenges, like any other country in the world, of course, when it comes to the use of telecommunication gadgets and the services they provide for. Indeed, for a very long time, we've been noticing serious, dramatic changes in the system. And as much as Nigerians are in their numbers keying in for the use of these services, so to speak, Nigerians are becoming so concerned on the need to ensure that those who provide the services should, as much as possible, be in this country and work with us, rather stay anywhere in the world without you knowing where they are, and then they provide those services to you. To us, we feel it's an act of espionage at the end of the day. And this matter has been on discussion at various fora, including National Assembly precisely, where in Senate, a senator came up with a bill or a motion, so to speak, on how these service providers are supposed to bring their offices into the country so that it comes with a lot of benefits, not just employment, but of course protecting the information we have in the global space. And it is on that perspective that I have to invite those who are more concerned about some of these challenges to come and speak to us on what basically that stands out to be. And with me in the studio is a country director, project of Sprint in the person of James Israel. It's a pleasure having you on the program this evening, James Israel.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure too, sir.
Yeah. I had the opportunity of meeting you today in the National Assembly where you addressed the press on very burning issues, particularly the use of data and the need for these offices to be found in this country.
Yes.
What are your fears?
Well, particularly I don't have so much fears. I have concerns, because I say concerns because these are issues that we can easily iron out at the National Assembly. So there are issues where we have social media platforms, social media giants, who operate outside of the shores of the country, but we have several millions of internet users in Nigeria who patronize these platforms, but these platforms don't have their offices resident here in Nigeria. And as such, it led to the distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko to read out such a bill at a priority time like this, where we have several young Nigerians who are keen into issues of national interest. And I think this is a very youth-centered bill, and as such, it needed more clarity and support from young Nigerians so that it can promote and create jobs for the young people in our population.
Okay. But you know, online service providers, yes, these services they provide, they are doing it online. Not necessarily carrying stick and pushing someone to show.
Definitely.
Fine. If that doesn't happen like the way we perceive, if somebody stays in America and operates,
yes,
and you get the services you require,
yes,
to what extent can you now say you want him to come to this country and build his office?
Okay,
Let me give an example.
All right.
Like you watch CNN or Al Jazeera.
Yes.
These are cable networks.
Yes.
So what important will you insist that Al Jazeera or either CNN to come and have its own office here?
Al Jazeera is a news station.
Yes.
They report news.
Yes.
But these are platforms that Nigerians are contributing to their content volume. I mean, if you look at other countries across the world, like the UK, Australia, several other countries, these platforms have their offices situated there. And the populations of this country is not even compared to the population of our country. We have about over 200 million people in Nigeria and over 100 million internet users. That contributes a very large bulk to the network of what they are providing. And it is very necessary that they have offices like that in Nigeria. It undermines our place in the global scheme of things that they don't have offices here in Nigeria. Nigeria is not just a drop zone where you come, you take out value and you don't put value back. What we are asking for, what the bill is asking for, is for an exchange in value. We are contributing largely to the content in your platform. Bring your offices here so we can tax those offices and we can create jobs, because the people you are going to employ when you cite your offices here, are going to be Nigerians, and then they are going to they are also going to contribute to the tax basket in the country, and it will attract revenues into the country. So as such, it necessitates that we have them here in the country.
Yeah. Why you look at the importance of having the offices here in Nigeria?
Yes.
Are you looking at the business environment in this country where it is laden with a lot of crises? For instance, somebody comes here, sets a business, there wouldn't be light, there are either insecurity. By the time he goes there, he's either kidnapped or possibly the place is bombed or things like that. Don't you think that possibly they must have really analyzed the environment, study the environment before feeling that there was no need for them to come outside their offices here, and that's why they operate where they are?
I mean, I just walked into your station.
Exactly.
You have been existing over some time.
Indeed.
And there is lights currently, and you're streaming to an audience, which means you've been running a profitable business over time. If you want to put it that way, if they are putting it that way, I think it's a slap on our sovereignty as a country.
There
are several issues.
I'm only being curious.
If you look at statistics, the crime rates in the UK relative to their population is quite higher than Nigeria, but we tend to report the false part of it. There are other companies, other giants like themselves who are here. Good credit to Google and Microsoft. They have offices here. They're not complaining. They're not making such reports. So what's stopping them from bringing their offices here? I think it's just because there has been no political will or legislation as such to mandate we have them here, and that's why we must give credit to the distinguished Senator Ned rather than criticize the bill on areas we have very poor clarity about.
But has there been any challenge or challenges you notice of recent because they are not here, and these are challenges we are facing?
I don't think
so there is a need for them to come up and set their offices.
I don't think there is any challenge. We are just saying let's establish an exchange of value. We are giving you an audience of over 100 million users.
Right.
So why are you not here? The UK is not even contributing that amount of numbers, but they have about 2 offices in the UK. So why are they not here? It is very important. We can't just have an economy that is being extracted out of and then there is no value addition. I mean, look at the technology transfer benefits of having these offices here in Nigeria. Most of our teaming youths who are going into tech education, they would quickly and immediately have an office to be employed to work in. Some of the knowledge that they have in those offices would be transferred to some of the people working there, and it would give rise and give room for further entrepreneurial projects in regards to social media and the rest. I mean, it's very important that we have them now. It goes to say that it goes to say much more on the stance of the distinguished Senator Ned. What he sees, he's very futuristic, and he carries the young people in mind, understanding that the population of Nigerians, the young people contribute to over 60% of that demographics.
So, if for any other reason this bill is able to see the light of the day in the Senate and as well in the House of Representatives, if it's able to see, how do you cajole them to come up here? Are there ways of really telling them to come here?
Well,
and if they're done, are you going to stop using the platform?
There is a place for policy. I'll give you an instance. In Indonesia, the Prime Minister said their citizens will no longer use or buy Apple products if Apple does not set up a factory in their country. And the negotiations went back and forth. Apple proposed 400, they said no. They proposed 600, they said no. Couple of days ago, or about a week ago, they finally agreed with Apple because Apple built a $1 billion manufacturing plant in Indonesia. So we shouldn't be looking at Facebook or these Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, X, sorry to say, as the big guys in the room. We have a population that meets their market demand, which is 100 million internet users, and that fits in, and that gives us the authority to ask and get what we want. I mean, look at Indonesia.
Who stands to lose between the user and the provider?
Well, I think the provider has a lot to use. Having over 100 million internet users move out of your platform is going to definitely affect your stock price.
What about the user? If you move out, what happens to your communication perception in the society?
I'm not looking at them moving out. I mean,
if for any other reason, assuming you make a proposal, if you make a proposal, like the way you are really doing it, it's a proposal. By the time the bill is passed into law and assented to by the president, it becomes an legislative act. Fine. If it does become an act, How do you convince them? And if they refuse to come and they decide to take the other option by not really subscribing to them, who stands to lose?
Okay, if you're asking me how are they going to come, I think the answer to the how is 100 million internet users. That is the message we are sending across to them, which is definitely going to affect their stock price by a very large volume. In
the interim, as you are these people with these concerns,
yes,
have you made any attempt really to talk to either one or two persons? Have you understood to a large extent that there's a bill towards that? Have you met with either YouTube or whatever you might imagine?
Well, we've been communicating across. Like you earlier said today, we had a press conference at the Senate addressing the importance of the bill. I'm sure they have people who listen, and they have people giving them reports. So they are monitoring our progress on them. I'm sure they are monitoring our progress on the subject matter, and they are trying and having board meetings to necessarily adjust to the new normal.
Are you not worried furthermore? You are talking about bringing offices, and then there is a hike in the price of these services they provide for us. That's telecommunication. For instance, now they have increased closer to about 200% of the. Take for instance, you are buying your airtime for MTN. When you buy 1,000 or 500, in less than 2-3 calls, it burns out completely. That is a new thing we're beginning to see.
Okay, on the issue of telecommunication.
That's a new thing we're beginning to see, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
They work hand in hand, don't they?
No, not necessarily. On the issue of telecommunication, that's a different issue.
We're all talking about the use of...
Yes.
Whatever situation is, I must use my telephone to buy data, to do whatever service I want to.
That is a different problem, and that was addressed today on the floor of the Senate by distinguished Senator Asoko Ekpenyong.
Indeed.
Yes. And then what we are asking about is for these platforms to come in, which is very different from the telecommunication aspect.
I understand.
So for today, I think we should talk about having those
platforms. I understand. But it's not like having twins and the other one is Paul and the other one is Peter. That's exactly what it is. But the mother is the same.
Well, you first count one before you go to two.
Fine.
Yes.
So in this case now that you are making this emphatic effort to ensure that you ask them to come up.
Yes.
To what extent can you say Senator Ned Nwoko has gone to ensure that he collaborates effectively with you now that you have taken the matter up?
Well, Senator Ned is a senator of the Federal Republic.
Indeed.
He read the bill. We picked interest in the bill because it concerns young Nigerians. I mean, there is a narrative that young people are not interested in national and democratic processes. But you can see the difference is clear by me coming to talk about this issue here with you.
Yeah.
So we understand the importance of this bill. We understand that it's going to create jobs. We understand the economic potential it would bring to the country. We also understand the technology transfer benefits that would come as a result of having these offices here in Nigeria. Okay. And that's why we are giving our utmost support to the bill at a time like this.
Are we exposed security-wise to the outside world because they don't have their offices?
Yes, part of what we discussed today at the Senate, in the press conference on the amendments to the Data Protection Act. One of the key recommendations we hope that will be added as we make further engagement and discussions with the Senate is that there are some critical aspects of our data that should be put under sensitive information. For example, the GPS location of you and I sitting down here is not a sensitive data. And as such, any Tom, Dick, and Harry outside the country can easily access our GPS locations, our financial information. And we just had the tax reform bills go through the House of Reps, waiting for the Senate's approval. So we need to also look at the Data Protection Act from angles such as this, so that we have our financial data, our tax record handled, managed, and administrated here in the country, and also included under the sensitive data, so that we don't have people outside the shores of the country having access to such information. There's been news about several international organizations indicating interest, to handle the administration of our tax, which is a very sensitive data as far as Nigerians are concerned. I think that the Data Protection Act would go further to extend and increase the bill as proposed by Senator Ned, would go further to improve and accommodate concerns such as this going forward.
Can our president's way of life be seen to be challenged by not taking these matters up?
Yes.
Otherwise,
yes,
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, it will be. I mean, the key word by distinguished Senator Ned when he read the bill on the floor of the House was data sovereignty. Sovereignty. Every nation is a sovereign state, and we should handle every issue that has to do with the country with that degree of sovereignty. And as such, if we don't, we are exposing ourselves. Nations are not our friends, they are allies. And allies are only answerable to you to the degree of value you are able to provide in the global scheme. And as such, we have to protect ourselves. Because the moment we expose ourselves, we become weak allies. And we no longer have the respect we deserve on the national scheme.
Okay. But have you seen a reason why we need to do more as a people?
I think we should.
Yeah, because he who consumes without producing goes hand begging.
Definitely.
So if you, because nearly every aspect of our life as a citizen, as a people of this country,
yes,
we can only consume, but we don't produce. Now it has become a challenge. If these people are able to come up with this technology where you use and are not telling them to come and set their offices here, it becomes something else. So we need to really, while you are campaigning to see that the offices should be coming, are you equally challenging the youth to read wider than necessary so that they can challenge Elon Musk?
There are several other platforms going, but these giants, these social media platforms, they've been existing for over 20 years now. So they have the markets, they have the capital to compete. But then again, we are saying they are leveraging on our population. Our population is an economic value. That's what we have to understand as a country. As much as we don't have some of these social media platforms as large as the ones we are asking to set up offices here, we are telling the ones who are big enough to say, let's exchange value. You are taking advantage of our population, bring in your institutions, set up offices here in Nigeria. Now, another aspect we need to look at it is that there are some regulatory compliances that we need to enforce them to follow up. So you can't ask them to comply if they are not in your country. They need to also absorb into the norms and cultures of the Nigerian people. So some social media platforms, some of their contents are not visible to certain countries. You see, so giving those countries authority over what their population consume. I mean, someone can just go on air and say something that questions the sovereignty or the authority of our nation states, and then if there is no regulatory compliance to prohibit these platforms from allowing such contents to be faced in by our population, we begin to see a culture change. You begin to see a decline in patriotism. You see situations where you have a former minister go to the Senate and tell a sitting senator to shut up, and you see young Nigerians, accepting such a norm. It's because of the information we have received over time. So we need to, as a state, behave like a sovereign state, and that's what the distinguished senator is asking for.
Are we rather not too late? Why is this awakening now?
Well, I am not late. My generation is not late. I will leave that question to your generation.
No, you must answer me. Aren't you late? Something that's been existing for quite some time, and I'm just getting up J25 saying that they should come and build their offices here.
No, this is my generation fighting for it also, and thanks to distinguished Senator Ned for standing on the side of young people. So I leave the question to your generation.
No, you must answer. You must answer my question. Now, if you take up like the way you're taking up to ensure that it happens like the way you want it to happen.
No, not the way I want it to happen. The way Nigerians want it to happen.
No, but the use of you here is pluralistic. I'm not being directing it to you.
Okay.
I'm using it in a generic form, sort of.
Yeah, so that generic form is young Nigerians across the country.
Yes. So if you are mounting this pressure now that they should come, are you prepared?
Well, we have been prepared.
Like?
As a country, we've been prepared. I mean, like I earlier stated, Microsoft has a head office here in Nigeria, and they are thriving very well. Google does the same too. Why are they shy? Why is Facebook shy?
Is Google
Yes, Google has an office in Nigeria. Why is Facebook shy? Why is X shy? Why is TikTok shy? And this affects several other aspects. I mean, I heard the president of the Content Creators Forum say that the payments they make to Nigerian content creators differs from what they pay to people outside the country. I mean, they're not even recognizing our economic relevance. and the value we bring to those platforms. So we need to bring them closer so we can negotiate and get better economic output.
Okay. If I ask to, in a rough estimate, how many do you think these young Nigerians are involving in this?
So we have over 100 million internet users.
In this country?
Yes. And so looking at the population, more young people are using these devices than your generation, like I would put earlier. So if we stick to 60%, then that means we have 60 million Nigerians using these platforms. Okay. That's a huge market. That's even bigger than the population of the entire United Kingdom.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Well, it seems as if I'm getting interested in your discussion.
Thank you so much.
But again, I'm passionate about some of the issues that are involved in those in that particular struggle to ensure that they should come up.
Yes.
As a way of parting on this program this evening, James Israel.
Yes, sir.
What else do you think you would say? Probably you didn't say, but you thought you should have said it.
Well, what I have to say to young Nigerians is that Nigeria will be built by Nigerians. We have a responsibility to usher ourselves into the next generation. We have a responsibility to our sovereignty as a nation state. Data sovereignty is not something we should undermine, and having institutions who will take advantage and leverage of the Nigerian market, operate outside of the shores of Nigeria, is definitely not a good economic outlook for us moving into the next generation.
Okay. Is there any time frame? If they don't, you do this?
That will be left for the Senate to decide.
We are already supporting him.
Yes, we will mount as much pressure as we can as young Nigerians.
Would you suggest to him the time frame?
We believe that the Senate have the intellectual capacity and the administrative manpower to decide just how much it would take to negotiate with these companies for them to set up shops here in the country.
Do you have an idea the level at which the bill is?
Well, the bill has scaled through second reading. It's now at the Committee on ICT
for
and Cybersecurity, awaiting public hearing.
Will you be there?
I will definitely be there, and several other young Nigerians, I will appeal to them to pay attention and watch out for so that they can attend and give their voices to the subject matter.
It's a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Israel.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's about the size of the program, particularly viewpoint on ASO Television. My name is Topsy Gimba. News will be coming your way by 7. I had my guest in the studio, James Israel, Country Director, Project Sprint. Of course, you listen to his analysis. Basically, we talked about those giant companies that are into communication. So I'm afraid to say telecommunication because they corrected me, where they are expected to come into this country, establish their companies for us to benefit either by employment or whatever. This is exactly what he's saying, or this is exactly what he said, and he expects that to be done when the bill finally leaves National Assembly to be assented to by the President. Well, we shall be doing that again tomorrow with yet another personality. Do have a very lovely time. We are leaving the building. See you again, and bye-bye.